Hello and welcome to Love Thy Lawyer, where we talk to real lawyers about their lives in and out of the practice of law, how they got to be lawyers, and what their experience has been. I'm Louis Goodman, the host of the show, and yes, I'm a lawyer. Nobody's perfect. Kelly Bagla is an award-winning corporate attorney, best-selling author, and host of the Go Legal Yourself podcast. She was named Top Transformational Woman Leader by Industry Wired magazine in 2020. She routinely speaks and appears on television. She has multiple degrees and began her career as an attorney at Baker McKenzie, advising domestic and international clients on all corporate matters. Her passion is to help entrepreneurs achieve their dreams. She lives by her motto, grab the world by the pearls, it's yours for the taking. But what impresses me more than anything is that Kelly Bagla attended Cal State East Bay when it was Cal State Hayward, Harvard on the Hill. Kelly Bagla, welcome to Love Thy Lawyer.
Thank you, Louis. What a pleasure.
I really appreciate your coming on the podcast. I know that you have a podcast. I've listened to your podcast many times. I've been on your podcast, and it's a real honor to have someone as accomplished as you on my podcast. So thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. I always enjoy talking to other fellow attorneys that are actually hosts of their own podcast shows.
Where is your office located now? Where do you practice out of?
Carlsbad, San Diego.
And can you tell us a little bit about your practice?
Absolutely. We are very laser focused on helping entrepreneurs. It's a business formation and asset protection law firm. Louis, as we get into my background, I am an immigrant from England, born and raised there, but I've been in the States for about 23 years now, and I'm living the American dream. I'm an example of it. The American dream is alive and well. And so I want to bring that to as many people that want to start their own businesses and want to become entrepreneurs and want to become independent. I bring that to them through my law practice.
So did you go to school in England?
I did. So I again, born and raised in England. After I finished high school there, I came out to the States. And that's when I went to Cal State, Hayward at the time it was. Yes, Harvard on the Hill. It's a really, really pretty campus. And it's amazing to actually see another fellow attorney from there.
You came from England to Hayward. Now, that's a huge difference in terms of culture, and it's a huge difference in terms of climate. What was that transition like for you, and how old were you when you did that?
I was 17 years old. The change was exciting. I came out to visit my sister and brother, and they resided there at the time. And I absolutely just fell in love with the place, applied for student visas and what have you. And that's when I started attending Cal State Hayward. And my undergrad is in business administration. And I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer ever since I was 5 years old. So seeing my father migrate from India, he worked in a factory in Birmingham. At the time, Birmingham was such an industrial city, and they were inviting people to come work. So my father worked in a factory on the line, Louis, on the line. And before you know it, he ended up buying the business out. So he became a business owner. And so seeing my father go through all that hard work and thrive as a business owner, I was always attracted to the business side, but I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer.
After you graduated from Cal State Hayward, you ultimately went to law school. Did you take some time off between graduating and then going to law school?
I actually have the best of both worlds. I did a bit of back and forth. So I did my undergrad at Cal State Hayward. And then, since I am the baby of 7, we're 7 altogether, Louis, Mom wanted me home for a bit. So I took advantage of that time and I went to law school in England. And that was a 3-year process.
Where did you go?
It was the University of Wales, Swansea.
You went to law school actually in Wales?
Yes.
Well, that's a fair distance from Birmingham, isn't it?
It is, yes. It is. It was only a coach ride away, but yes, it is.
So what was that experience like for you, having lived in California and then now going back to England, actually Wales, which is, pretty rural area?
It was different in a respect where it was a bit of a culture shock, because when I went back, people were saying, "Oh, you're the girl from America." And I said, "No, I'm the girl from England. I was born and raised here." And to get used to the education system again, it was a teeny tiny bit of a setback, but I caught up very quickly.
What differences are there in the law school system in England as compared to how they do it here in the United States?
There are a couple of differences, because I actually got the privilege of going to the law school in England, Wales, if you will, and also here in America, because I did a master's in law at Whittier Law School, but that was only 1 year. So my 3 years in England, it's very structured, Louis. It's you go to school full time. You don't have a part-time job. You don't have time for that. It's constant learning. And then you do get some time off to study for your exams. And if you don't pass your exams or any class, you have the option to either retake it for the summer, or you cannot advance and you have to do your first year over again. So it's very different as opposed to here.
After you completed your law studies in Wales, did you take the bar exam in England?
So in England, you have 2 options. One is you can become a solicitor, which is a transactional attorney. And then the other option is you can become a barrister, which is a litigator. At the time, I actually did take my 1-year course to become a solicitor. I'm a transactional attorney. And I completed that 1 year. After the 1 year, you actually have to apply and work with a law firm. You cannot go out and hang your own shingle after you're done with law school. You have to go and work for a law firm, and you have to work for a law firm for 3 years, Louis. And it's not as if I'm a business transactional attorney, I'm going to look for a law firm that does business transactional. No, you're admitted, because there's so much competition there in England, and you really have to apply way before you graduate. And once you actually get your foot in the door with a law firm, every 6 months they rotate you to different practice areas. So you become an overall rounded attorney, if you will. And I did not want to stay in England for another 3 years and go through that grind, because I knew right from the beginning it's business, transactional law. That's what I want to do. That's where my passion is. So at the time, when I had finished my legal practice course, I said, okay, I'm going to go back to the States, and I'm going to, because this is really where my heart belongs. And that's when I went to Whittier Law School, and I did a master's in law, and that was 1 year.
And then you took the California bar?
I did, yes. Interesting fact, though, Louis, because some of my colleagues that I went to Whittier Law School with, they were from civil law backgrounds, civil law jurisdictions, such as France. That's based on civil law. And England, obviously, is common law. And here in the States, it's common law. So I actually could sit for the bar right after I graduated with my master's. My other counterparts, they had to actually go to either a sister state to go sit for the bar there. Then they could apply to sit for the California bar.
After you passed the bar, what was your first legal job? Was that Baker McKenzie?
It was Baker & McKenzie in San Diego. That's what brought me to San Diego. And this is home. I refuse to go anywhere else after San Diego. And it was an honor and it was a privilege to work for Baker & McKenzie. At the time, Lewis, it was the largest international law firm in the world. I would highly recommend anyone that's graduating from law school to try to work for a large law firm, because that's really where you get your footing as an attorney and how to practice law.
As a very good friend of mine in law school used to say, and it gives you an opportunity to make some mistakes on somebody else's letterhead.
Always, right? There you go.
So how did you transition into the very specialized business entrepreneurial support work that you do now?
When I started with Baker & McKenzie, I was hired in their corporate and securities department. So my official title there was, I'm a corporate and securities attorney. I had no idea what corporate and securities attorneys did. And we really focused a lot on working with businesses, working with entrepreneurs that either had brilliant ideas, they wanted to patent those ideas, either they wanted to expand nationwide their businesses, or they wanted to go international as well. So it felt like on a daily basis, I was working with entrepreneurs that were making a difference in the world. That was, not just nationally, but internationally as well. And that's when I realized, I'm thinking, I know I have an entrepreneurial spirit to myself. If this is something that they can do and they're free to do this is their business, they're 100% in control of their business, I'm sure I could do the same. And so that's when I decided, I said, I'm done here and I'm going to open my own practice. And that was 12 years ago.
And presumably that's gone pretty well for you.
It's been wonderful, Lewis, wonderful. I'm not going to say that it was a walk in the park, because it never is for an entrepreneur or someone that's going out on their own and starting their own business. Yes, there were challenges. Yes, those were overcome. And yes, you don't have a guaranteed paycheck anymore. I left the security of a big, massive law firm to go out on my own, and I didn't have any guaranteed money coming in. It was basically what I went out, and what I could kill was what I could eat. And to have the mindset, to have the confidence in yourself, to take that step, it's possible. It's really possible for anyone that wants that lifestyle.
Yeah, I started out in the Alameda County District Attorney's Office, which, I don't know, it's not a big law firm, but it's a big organization with an enormous amount of security. They pay you every 2 weeks. They take care of your health insurance. And it's a very collegial environment. And leaving to move into more entrepreneurial endeavors is a scary thing. And I've talked about that a little bit before on this podcast, and I'll probably talk about it again. But it's something that, I don't know, it was a scary move. And I'm still scared by the move, because like you say, you don't have a paycheck, you do only get to eat what you kill. And that's it. And you're the one who, as Arnold Schwarzenegger used to say, signs the front of the check.
Exactly. Until you sign the front of the check, you're never really going to understand business. You're not going to understand the value that you as an individual can bring to someone else. I've always said, Lewis, that we're all, doesn't matter what we're selling. It could be widgets, it could be, services. We're all in someone's service, right? We're all here to serve others. And going out on your own, it is scary, absolutely. But if I had to do it all over again, I would do it exactly the same in a heartbeat. I'm usually at least once or twice a month, I'm solicited by headhunters to say, so-and-so law firm, is looking for a partner. You'd be perfect for them. I couldn't do it, Lewis. I just couldn't do it. This is I've really put in a lot of hard work into Bagla Law Firm, and it's thriving and it's growing. And, I get to work with people. I don't have to, but I get to work with people that I want to. I can pick and choose clients, and it's just an incredible place to be.
So if a young person was coming out of college and thinking about a career choice, would you recommend going into law? And sort of second of all, would you recommend going into a small private practice after having some kind of a big organization experience?
Absolutely not. No, just joking. So yes, if someone's coming out of college and they are looking for a profession, absolutely. Being a lawyer opens doors for you to a magnitude of opportunities. I think each and every politician that we have, and I'm not comparing lawyers to politicians, but they all hold a law degree and they're not practicing. So having a law degree can really open a lot of doors to wherever you really want to go. I would absolutely suggest that, because being a lawyer, you can be a lawyer from anywhere. You can, if you enjoy helping people, if you enjoy solving problems and bringing solutions to the table, yes, absolutely. Even though California is full of lawyers, I think we're going to continue having more lawyers here. But going into private practice, I would absolutely advise work for a firm first. Don't go out and hang your shingle because you don't know anything. Law school does not teach you about the real world. It doesn't teach you about being your own boss. It doesn't teach you any of that. So absolutely go get some experience from a firm, and then yes, go out and open your own firm, because like I said, there's just absolutely nothing like it.
How is actually practicing law on your own met or differed from your expectations about it?
That's a great question. I don't think I had any expectations, Louis, when I opened my own firm. The only expectation was, okay, I have my own firm now, but I need clients, right? Because when you have bills to pay, they don't take IOUs. And you really learn the skill of being a business owner. That's what you learn, having your own firm. So it wasn't always Kelly the attorney went out to do business. I had to put on my Kelly the entrepreneur hat and go out and do business. I had to learn, Louis, how to network, how to talk to people, how to ask for business. I had no idea how to ask for business. At the big firm, you hardly ever meet with clients, right? You're always sitting behind the desk and billing and billing and billing. But really being your own, stepping into your own business, you have to wear all hats. So I learned as I went along. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have someone that I could ask questions from. I think watching my father become a business owner, I sort of picked tips up from there. But it is different. You have to be able to talk to people at their level, at any level, and not talk legalese to people. They don't understand it, and it's going to put them off. So if they see you coming towards them at another function, they're going to say, oh, no, I'm busy, and walk away. But yeah, I didn't have any expectations. I think I just learned as I went along. And you are going to stumble. We all do. And it's okay, because the experience just makes you a better business owner.
Yeah, I think, to perhaps paraphrase Neil Tyra, who has that Law Entrepreneur podcast, which you may be familiar with, he says it's just malpractice for law schools to release people out into the world with no understanding whatsoever about how to run a law practice, And it's not that most lawyers come out of law school and immediately hang a shingle, and as you're advising strongly against that, as would I. But I think law schools ought to teach us something about business, because after all, practicing law is a business.
Yes, Louis, I would have to agree with you that lawyers that are coming out of law school and passing the bar, they don't know anything, because I was there. I was one of them. And you were there and you were one of them too. And it's absolute malpractice because the bar world is not realistic. In the bar world, a 78-year-old woman can have a baby. And, it's not real life. And when you actually talk to people that have issues and problems and they come to you for solutions, well, you've never really dealt with the real world. And it is malpractice if you start advising someone with zero experience.
What's the best advice that you've ever received?
It would be from my father. He said to me, if you want something, want it with your heart, and the rest of you will follow.
And is that the advice that you would give to young attorneys?
Absolutely, absolutely. The life of an attorney, it can go in two directions. And I've experienced this as well at the big firm. So the big firm life isn't for everyone. It's just not. It's for attorneys that are ambitious. It's for attorneys that want to climb that corporate ladder to become partner. But these attorneys at the big firms, they don't have a life, Louis. They don't. They miss, their children's lives half of the time. They're not able to just sort of take off when they want to. They can't go to networking events. It's very structured at the firm, the big firm. And it's only the partners that are out there making rain. They're the ones that obviously wine and dine the clients so they can bring in the work. But going out on your own, you do have to wear all different hats, right? You have to be the janitor. You have to be the dog walker. You have to be the marketing person. When was the last time, Louis, that you found an attorney that was brilliant at marketing? All of this has to be learned. And so if you're going to stay at the big firm, at least make sure that you are enjoying life at some point, because life will pass you by very, very quickly. Ever since I've had my own firm, Louis, I've had an incredible life. I get to, walk my dogs during my lunch break or in the morning time or whenever I want to exercise. I get to visit and go meet with clients and have lunch with them, and I'm not structured to just that 1 hour and I've got to get back to the office. If I want to go on vacation, I can do. I can take phone calls on vacation. It's the lifestyle is so different from the attorney at the big firm or in a practice, as opposed to having your own practice as well. And like I said, before you know it, life is going to pass you by. So if you are going to the big firm, try to at least have a balanced life. You've heard about, we offer a balanced life. You're able to bring your kids into work and leave them at daycare, what have you. But it's not the same at all, where you're tied. I feel like you're tied to someone else. And if that someone else went down, or if that someone else closed up shop tomorrow, what's going to happen to you?
You've seen the legal system from a number of different vantage points. Do you think that it's fair?
I think that the law, the way the law is written, that is fair. I think that the way it's interpreted is not fair at all.
What do you mean?
For example, there's a difference between what I do as a transactional attorney, drafting contracts according to what the law will allow, according to what the wishes are of the parties entering into a contract. Then you have the other side of the law, which is litigation. Litigation is that there's a dispute, you go to court, and you argue your case in front of either a jury or a judge. And it's really based on their assumption of how well you have argued your case. It's not really based on, this is the law and this is what we're going to apply. So I don't believe it's fair. It should be fair. I don't believe that the lady, the legal lady that has blindfolds on should really represent the legal system, because the laws, some of them apply to some people and then they don't apply to other people. So no, I don't think it's fair.
I'm going to shift gears here a little bit, Kelly. You touched on this, but I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your family life and how practicing law has fit into your family life, how it's affected your family life, how your family life has affected your law practice.
So, Louis, I truly believe I was born to be a lawyer. And your podcast, Love Thy Lawyer, is perfect for me because all of my clients absolutely love me. And it's because what we bring to the table. Now, born to be a lawyer, I step into those shoes and I own it because, again, I love helping people. I love what I do. My personal life, I'm very, very extremely blessed to be married to the love of my life. He also used to have a business, so he understands running your own business isn't like a 9-to-5 job. So when my husband comes home, it's not as if I need to close up shop and say, now we can play house. He understands if a client calls at 7 p.m. or if a client calls, at 6 a.m., I'm going to take the call. And my life has just improved so much, Louis, because I have the ability to, yes, close up shop when my husband comes home, right? Or on weekends, if we want to take an extra day and make it a 3-day weekend, we have the ability to do that. I think the praise that my husband also hears about the service that I'm in and the way I've treated my clients and the feedback that we get from the clients, he's extremely proud of me. I'm very proud of me too. And I think being a lawyer, I'm living my best life at the moment. And, there's a joke around the house, and I have to share this with you, Louis. When I met my husband, he had 3 dachshunds. And dachshunds are also called wiener dogs. And the joke around the house was, well, I fell in love with my husband's wieners. So I've always loved dogs, always. And the fact that the husband came with the dogs was a massive plus. And since we've been married for 11 years now, and throughout the 11 years, we have adopted dogs. Some dogs have passed away, and then we get more dogs. It's just part of our life. So life is fantastic. Every day it gets even better.
What sort of recreational pursuits, things do you enjoy doing in order to clear your head a little bit when you want to step away from the practice of law and step away from the business of being a lawyer?
I've always been a gym rat, always. I love working out. In fact, in 2010, 12 years ago now, I competed in the bodybuilding competition here in Southern California. And it was probably the first competition that I entered. I won my category, but I didn't win the overall category. And I have a bit of a, competitive bone in me, as we all do as lawyers. So I had to do it again. So I entered into another bodybuilding competition and I won my category and also won the overall. So now I have my professional bodybuilding card, and my official title, Louis, is Ms. Southern California.
Wow. That's exciting.
Yes. So if it's not working out, I'm usually engaged with the dogs. And then I love reading biographies, actually, biographies of great leaders that we've had. And then anytime I'm out and about, working out or walking the dogs, I listen to Audible all the time. So I'm always, and it's not always, it's not legal at all, because you have to sometimes take a breath and refresh again. And so it's always about great leaders that I listen. I love history as well. And the other thing that I do enjoy a lot is traveling to historical places.
What sort of travel have you done, and what sort of historical places have you gone to that you've enjoyed?
I would have to say we've been to Italy, the Vatican, incredible. Been to Japan, been to Russia. We are going to Greece in September, and I've traveled domestically as well. But the funny thing is, England itself is just full of history. It's so rich with history. You can go and stay at a castle that was from the 12th century. And in fact, my husband and I actually got married in a castle from the 12th century in Scotland. And highly, highly recommend going to Scotland if someone hasn't been. You have to go to Scotland before it's all over and done with. But just historical places, and it's amazing when you think about these great people that have come before us have actually walked those same roads and lived in those same places. But yes, it's a great getaway.
Now, you have done some writing and some publishing. What have you published?
Writing, I am an author of 4 books. I'm actually in the middle of writing my 5th book, and everything that I've done so far is to promote entrepreneurism. It's to help entrepreneurs. The first book was called Go Legal Yourself. That was in 2017, I believe. Then I wrote a second book in 2018 called Go Own Yourself. So Go Legal Yourself. I talk about the legal life cycle of a business. There's a startup phase, the growth phase, the established phase, and then obviously the exit phase as well. And then now that you understand a business, how do you actually become a business owner? And that's why I wrote Go Own Yourself. I also, during the pandemic or prior to the pandemic, I've written a ebook, which is downloadable from my website. And that is for my international clients. And it's basically exactly called Doing Business in the United States. Then I wrote my 4th book, which is actually the 2nd edition of the first book, which is Go Legal Yourself. I wrote that during the pandemic. I engaged one of the largest business-related publishers here in the US. So that was an experience too. And now I'm writing my 5th book. Again, everything to do with entrepreneurs, how to support them. And the podcast itself as well, Lewis, Go Legal Yourself. It's in 26 countries, and I interview experts in the field, and it was fantastic having you on the show. And we share, pearls of wisdom, if you will, for entrepreneurs at every level.
How do you define success?
Success to me is when you put your head down at nighttime to go to sleep, you can look back on the day and say, I did everything to the best of my ability that day. I owned that day. And success is being surrounded by people that you love, people that you care about, and they care about you. And again, having a dog or having 3 dogs in your life, that to me is just the ultimate success, because now you're caring for someone that absolutely loves you unconditionally. And what a great cause that is as well. All of our dogs we've rescued. And it's really true when they say, well, who rescued who? But I wake up very grateful, Lewis. That's the first things that come out of my mouth. Thank you, God, for this life that you have given me. And if you start your day off being grateful, great things happen during the day. But that's how I would define success. It's not about, your bank account. It's not about what you drive. It's not about where you live. Those people are pretty miserable most of the time. They have all these issues and problems. But it's really about living your best life, living the life that you want to, and not somebody else is dictating to you.
I get up every morning and I take the dog for a walk. And I consciously, every morning, am grateful that I am walking up that street on my own 2 legs and looking at the world through my own 2 eyes, and that I am healthy enough to be able to do that simple task. And I think you're right. I think that having that gratitude and being conscious of that gratitude at the beginning of the day is really helpful. And I don't want to sound too woo-woo or anything, because I'm not that kind of person at all. And, people who know me know that. But I think you're right. I mean, I think that being consciously grateful for the incredible life that we get to live here in California is just a way to be successful in life, you know. So
Absolutely.
I agree with you, Kelly.
And I think I just brought the best side out of you today, and you're welcome, Lewis.
I knew we were going to have a good talk. I wasn't worried about that. Let's say you and your husband came into some real money. Let's say $3 or $4 billion. What, if anything, would you do differently in your life?
I would help as many dogs, homeless dogs, as I could. That's the only thing that I would change in my life. I truly mean this, Lewis. When life is done and it's your time to go meet your maker, who can really say, I have zero regrets? Right? Who can say, I've lived a full life, I've lived a happy life, I've lived, in an incredible loved life? I can say that. So the only thing that would change is I would save as many homeless dogs as I could. And my husband would do the same.
Let's say you had a magic wand. There was one thing in the world that you could change, in the legal world or the business world or just the world in general. What would you do? How would you wave that magic wand?
I have never thought that far ahead. This is what I would do. If I had a magic wand, I would make legal accessible to all. I wouldn't make it expensive. I wouldn't make it different amounts of money for certain people. I would make it accessible. We actually help individuals that don't have the funding to start a business. They don't have the legal funding to start it, but we'll help them because it's the passion that they bring. It's the life that they believe they should live. And they are so desperate to start a business, but they don't have the legal funds to start the business. So I would make legal accessible to all. That's what I would do.
Let's say you had 60 seconds on the Super Bowl. You had a 60-second ad to say whatever you wanted to the country, to the world, to an enormous number of people. What would you want to say on your ad in the Super Bowl?
I would say there's one thing that I'm selling, and that is independence. This country was founded upon independence. The backbone of this country is on the backs of business owners. If you truly want to leave a legacy, if you truly want to make a difference in this world, not just for yourself, but for your family, for your kids, for your grandkids, now is the time to step into that independence, own your own business, be in service of someone else. Enough with the 5 to 9, 9 to 5, enough with the 9 to 5. Right? Start your own business. It's liberating. It's an incredible service you're providing. And you're actually living the American dream.
Kelly, is there anything that you want to talk about that we have not discussed?
I think the only thing that I would like to mention is that your audience really, really should listen to the podcast that you were on with Go Legal Yourself. It was very informative. And it was fun. It was fun interviewing another fellow attorney. And I really look forward to having you back on the show, Lewis.
Well, thank you. Kelly, if somebody listening to this wants to get in touch with you, they want to buy your book, they want to use your service, how can they get in touch with you?
They can simply just Google Kelly Bagla, that's Kelly, B as in boy, Agla. They'll see that I've done quite a bit in my life and I am actually in the media quite a bit. And they can absolutely go to the website, baglalaw.com, and we'll be happy to talk to anyone at any time. And also highly recommend that they listen to the podcast, Go Legal Yourself, because it's got some great information.
Kelly Bagla, thank you so much for joining me today on the Love Thy Lawyer podcast. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
It's been a pleasure likewise. Thank you, Louis.
That's it for today's episode of Love Thy Lawyer. If you enjoyed listening, please share it with a friend and subscribe to the podcast. If you have comments or suggestions, send me an email. I promise I'll respond. Take a look at our website at lovethylawyer.com, where you can find all of our episodes, transcripts, photographs, and information. Thanks as always to my guests who share their wisdom, and to Joel Katz for music, Brian Matheson for technical support, and Tracy Harvey. I'm Louis Goodman.
You'll have to excuse the barking, Louis, because I do have dogs. We're dog lovers here, and they are my law firm associates as well. So if you do hear them in the background, they're just saying hello.
Well, I'm glad they're working.